how much of social media do you think is real and how much is fake?
Yeah.
Because there are so many stories of fake things and fake people. And is it all a mirage? Are we
Mhm.
living in the
Mhm.
matrix, or is there some reality out there?
Mhm. When you say fake, can you elaborate on that a little bit?
Yeah, I mean, it can be whatever you want it to be, but something that is not real, let's put it that
Mm.
way. And real, like we could define that differently too, right? Like a person being
Yeah.
two-faced, or a person saying one thing and then and not
Right.
meaning. But I feel like a lot of people create maybe a persona to present to people. And I mean, I think I'm included there. And so you present this face and these positive qualities, and like it's just common sense that you don't
Mhm.
typically show your weaknesses or something like this. So
Mhm.
you always post the picture of you on the top of the mountain, not you falling down it,
Mhm.
and stuff like that, right?
I don't know if,
um Typically.
I don't know if you listen to a lot of there's a marketer, Seth Godin, and one of the things that he talks about a lot is people claim to want authenticity, but people don't actually really want authenticity. For instance, the one example he gives, if I'm not butchering it, is that you go to a hospital to have a surgery, and your surgeon comes in and says, "Oh, guys, I'm sorry. We'll do the surgery. I'm feeling really upset today. Like just a lot going on at home. Like you don't want that.
Right.
You want the surgery. Like you're there for the surgery. So it's like and that's okay. And there's nothing wrong with that. That's fine. And I think with social media, it's kind of the same sort of thing. People say that they want authenticity with social media, but that's not real. I don't think that's actually what people desire. I mean, we see it. For instance, there's what that app, Be Real, where people were like taking pictures. Like, oh my, the alarm went off. I have to take a picture of these random things I'm around. Um,
Really?
oh,
I've never heard of that. Really?
that's a real. I mean, it's in like a not to go on a tangent, but I remember I here reading about like there were like these advertising companies that joined Be Real, and they're like, man, this is really hard because you don't know when the notification is going to come through. So like they would send teams because like they're okay, we need a picture of like Times Square or whatever. So they would send a team to wait at Times Square like all day for the time when the thing would actually go off, so then you could actually get the picture. But bring it back more to social media in general. I think is it fake? Yeah, I mean it's highly it's at least curated. You are choosing what you allow people to see versus allowing them to see what exists at all times. So in that sense, yeah, it's not real. It's not authentic. I guess part of my interpretation of the question too is that a positive or a negative?
Mhm.
And I think it's neutral. I don't think it's a good thing or a bad thing. I think it's just it's
It
it's,
is.
it's just how yeah, it's what the system is. You take it. You can use it as a tool in a positive way, or you can use it as a tool in a negative way. But it's all about how are you deciding to use it. If you're using social media and it's putting you in a negative headspace, then that's obviously a sign that we need to find some other sources of entertainment. You know,
Yeah.
but I don't think you can approach, to go back to your question, I don't think you can approach social media as being something that is indicative of what is real in the world. No.
But there are real people that are doing those things and putting themselves out there. You see real people's faces with real people's names. You can find real information about real people. Um, so how much of your personal life should you put out there, and
Mm,
like how much should you keep back, because people do see that and it does have real life consequences sometimes.
it does. It's, I think a lot depends on who you ask. If you talk to someone that's like heavily involved in like cybersecurity and stuff, they'll probably be the first people to tell you, no, like don't. And if you can hide it, you should probably hide it. We're living in a time where I think people have grown up sharing their entire lives. And even if they haven't shared their entire life, they're also sharing the lives of others. I mean, with kids, I don't know how you approach social media with your kids, but for instance, we actively try to keep from putting pictures of our son online. And part of that just being, I think it's hard with social media too, because so much of it is done in a public space. So you're taking pictures and it's not just you or your friends in the pictures, but there's other people involved in the pictures as well. There was, I don't know if you saw that artist, the artist basically just, I forget his name. He just goes around Instagram. He picks random pictures from Instagram and makes paintings of the pictures. And then people have seen pictures of like, oh my gosh, that painting was from my bedroom and stuff like that. So, I mean, and so I think what it demonstrates is the fact that when you're putting stuff out onto an online space, I think a lot of people don't fully appreciate the impact of the action that they have undertaken. Because the reality is, if you put it onto the internet, it is a public accessible place that people can find things that you post and that you do. We see that with celebrities, you know, with in terms of things that they post before they were stars or before they were star athletes. You know, something you tweeted 10 years ago, you're still liable for. Whether that's fair or not, you're still held accountable to it in the eyes of many. And so, how much information should you put out there? The honest answer is probably very little. But the practical answer is however much information you're willing to share, with the understanding that it might come back later in a form that you didn't expect.
As a content creator, you're constantly putting it out, though.
For sure. Like from my perspective, yeah, 100%. It's a trade-off. I mean, I think if you're trying to do like a business or something like that, you have to be willing to put something out there, but there's ways to limit that as much as possible, whether, you know, getting like a PO box for your address instead of using your normal address, or getting a separate phone line and things like that. Those are all smart measures you can do to kind of protect yourself. But ultimately, if someone wants to even work around those, they can find ways. I think that's kind of the other issue too, is that I think a lot of people have the mindset as, well, they can find out all this information anyways, so why not just
give it to them?
Yeah. You know, which,
well, they can break the window in my house, so why would I lock it?
I'll just break it myself.
Why would I lock the door if they can break the window?
But in all honesty, I think some people do approach it that way.
Yeah.
You know,
I don't know how you feel about door locking, but ever since living in Russia, it's like every lock is always locked.
I grew up in Philadelphia. I love Philadelphia is my favorite city by far. But you also need to, you know, keep a head about you, you know, and you lock your doors, and ideally you also get like a deadbolt, you know.
It's an urban area.
Like, yeah.
But I think people who don't live in urban areas in the States approach that differently, and that's where the humor comes in, right? Because there are a lot of people out there who feel like they don't lock their car or door because they live in a safe place, for example.
Or their car. Yeah. It's true. I mean, we have friends that who lived in the suburbs, and like you could go up to their house when no one was home, and you could open they would have a door that was open, which is, it's just a different lifestyle. I mean, if that's you, do you. Cool. I'm glad nothing has happened to you. I hope it stays that way.
But I think that was a good comparison that you made between that type of security and putting your personal information out there.